let's do 2 more examples. On the first one, 4 times 2 to the power of x minus 1 minus 3. So y-intercept, we can do the horizontal asymptote, though, is going to be negative 3. Domain is always negative to positive infinity. And the range is going to be from negative 3 to positive infinity. So for the y-intercept, let's just do our table in order, actually. So let's plug in negative 4 first, or negative 1 first. So y equals 4 times 2 to the power of negative 1 minus 1 minus 3. So order of operations, do your exponent first. So that would be 2 to the negative second. And again, our exponent rules tells us that that becomes 1 over 2 squared, which is 1/4. So 4 times a fourth is 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. So then let's plug in 0 to get that y-intercept. 4 times 2 to the 0 minus 1 minus 3. So 2 to the negative first becomes a half. And 4 times a half becomes 2. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. So then we can plug in 1. Y equals 4 times 2 to the 1 minus 1 minus 3. So 2 to the 0 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. If we plug in 2 minus 1 is 1, so 2 to the first is 2 times 4 is 8. 8 minus 3 is 5. And then 4 times 2 to the 3 minus 1 minus 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. Minus 3 is 13. So we won't be able to plot the point 3, 13, but that's okay. So y-intercept is 0, negative 1. So we have all that information. You guys can draw your horizontal asymptote on your graph. And you don't have to draw the horizontal asymptote. I just always kind of like it as a boundary for me when I'm graphing them. I find it helpful to sort of see where I'm kind of starting at. So negative 1, negative 2. 0, negative 1. 1, 1, 2, 5. And then you guys can just kind of draw that in there. Okay, so let's do one more. And the reason this one here, number 9, is a little different is because it has a negative in the front of it. So the domain, the horizontal asymptote is still the same. No number at the end, so horizontal asymptote will be at y equals 0. Domain is still going to be negative to positive infinity. But see, what's going to happen, this would be a decay function. So like you guys would be probably thinking that it's going to come down and level off at that horizontal asymptote. Well, because it's a negative, it's actually going to be below because it's reflected. So because it's below, it's not stopping at the horizontal, or it's not starting at the horizontal asymptote and going up. It's stopping or ending at the horizontal asymptote. So the range still corresponds with that horizontal asymptote of 0, but it's actually coming from below and stopping at it. So it's negative infinity to 0. So just pay attention to if it's above or below that horizontal asymptote for your range. But then we will just plot our points. So let's plug them into our equation. So negative 2 times 3/4 to the negative 1. So that -1 would go inside there, and what would happen is it would actually just flip the whole fraction, because the 3 and the 4 would both be flipped. So we get 2 times 4/3, which is 8/3. And then we can plug in 0. And actually, that's -8/3. I forgot my negative sign in the front. Okay, so then we plug in 0. Y equals -2 times 3/4 to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. And then 1 times -2 is -2. Then we can plug in 1. Y equals -2 times 3/4 to the first. 3/4 to the first is just 3/4. So 2 times 3/4. And if it helps, you can make that -2 a fraction. So you do tops with tops, bottoms with bottoms, numerator, numerator, denominator, denominator. So -2 times 3 is -6 over 4 would be -6/4, or we would simplify that to be -3/2. And then plug in 2. So we get y equals -2. Everything inside there gets squared. So this becomes 9/16. So -2, again, if it helps, put that over 1. -2 times 9/16 becomes -18/16. Which again, we would reduce that to make it 9/8. You don't need to have it reduced. As long as it's the correct fraction, that's okay. And then y equals -2 times 3/4 to the third. So y equals -2 times 27 over 64. So 27 times 2 is 54/64. And again, if you guys wanted to reduce that, you could make this -27/30 seconds. But again, you don't have to reduce it. You can leave it. It's okay. So y-intercept is 0, -2. And then we'll just graph it. So horizontal asymptote at 0. First point, -1, -8/3. So that's, what is that? -1. So in between 2 and 3. 0, -2. Let's move this point down just here, because it's really 2/3. 1 and -1.5. 2 and -9/8. And 3 27/30 seconds. Okay, so it's not really, it looks kind of like a straight line, but let's try to add some curve to it. And this graph will just be one of those that comes up to the horizontal asymptote instead of starting from the horizontal asymptote and going up. So just be careful with your range there. And go ahead and try number 10.